Everyone knows Green Goblin from the Spider-Man movies, but it's a special few who know about his time in Spider-Punk's Spider Army during the Edge of Spider-Geddon. Curious what we're talking about? Keep watching. Nowadays, it might seem like common knowledge that Norman Osborn is the Green Goblin, but the Goblin's identity was once actually a mystery to readers. From the character's first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man number 14, it would be 2 years, 25 issues, and one major artist change before the Green Goblin was unmasked. That artist change even helped feed an urban legend about the Goblin, one that has survived for years. Amazing Spider-Man number 38 was Spidey co-creator Steve Ditko's final issue as the comics artist. John Romita Sr. replaced Ditko with Amazing Spider-Man number 39, which happens to be the issue in which Goblin's identity is revealed. Goblin being unmasked as soon as Ditko left the title led many fans to believe that Ditko was against Osborn being Green Goblin, and that this was why he left. Spider-Man's other co-creator has seemed to confirm half of this fan theory. In a 2011 issue of the magazine Alter Ego, Stan Lee said Ditko wanted Goblin to be just some character that we had never seen before, but Lee insisted that would be cheating readers. However, by the time Ditko left Amazing Spider-Man, he and Lee were embroiled in so many financial conflicts that Ditko's departure from the title was inevitable, regardless of any creative differences. That said, in a 2009 essay, Ditko not only denied Lee's claims that he was against Osborn being the Goblin, but says he always knew Osborn would be the Goblin and that he made plenty of creative choices to facilitate that future reveal. Norman Osborn is hardly the only character to bear the name Green Goblin. In fact, while he's the original most memorable and most enduring version of the character, he's only one of 5 different characters to have used the name. Just as Norman's son Harry becomes New Goblin in 2007's Spider-Man 3, Harry also assumes the name of Green Goblin in 1974's Amazing Spider-Man number 136, after discovering Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
Look at little Goblin Jr. Gonna cry?
The third Goblin is Dr. Bart Hamilton, a psychiatrist who treats Harry Osborn. Hamilton uses hypnosis to learn Green Goblin's secrets, including the location of his hideout and equipment. Visiting the hideout, Hamilton gives in to temptation and becomes the next Goblin, beginning in 1978's Amazing Spider-Man number 176. Green Goblin number 4 tries his hand at the hero business. Phil Urich, son of Daily Bugle reporter Ben Urich, recovers the Goblin equipment after Harry Osborn's death and even enjoys a short-lived solo title. Urich retires after his equipment is damaged beyond repair during the 1996 Onslaught event. After returning from the dead for a few decades, Norman Osborn orders the creation of a genetically engineered minion, designed to be the new Green Goblin in 2000's Peter Parker Spider-Man number 18. He dresses as the Goblin and acts like the Goblin, all to help Osborn convince the world he was never the Green Goblin in the first place. Eventually, Green Goblin became more than just Spider-Man's enemy. How? Well, as it happened, he was helped out by a bunch of green-skinned guys with pointy ears. During the 2006 Civil War event, Norman Osborn is appointed director of a new version of the Thunderbolts, a group tasked with capturing unregistered superheroes. Osborn's Thunderbolts include villains who are a little nastier than the team is used to, including the kill-crazy villain Bullseye and the deadly symbiote Venom. Osborn's leadership role in the Thunderbolts puts him in a position to be in the right place at the right time when Secret Invasion comes along. Focused on the shape-shifting Skrulls, Secret Invasion has most of Marvel's heroes uniting against this new alien threat. Osborn later succeeds in gaining the public's trust by shooting and killing the Skrull Queen, Veronki. When the dust settles, Tony Stark is blamed for the Skrull infiltration and ousted as director of S.H.I.E.L.D., while Osborn is made the head of the new military force Hammer. From there, his power keeps on growing. When Green Goblin gains control of Hammer, the Superhero Registration Act is still in effect, and most of the surviving former Avengers are considered outlaws. Osborn takes advantage of this situation and forms his own team of Dark Avengers. Most of Osborn's Dark Avengers are villains renamed and rebranded as the replacements for more traditional Avengers. Bullseye is disguised as Hawkeye, Daken as Wolverine, Venom as Spider-Man, and Moonstone as Ms. Marvel. Novar, aka Marvel Boy, joins the team as a new Captain Marvel. The only holdouts from pre-Osborn Avengers teams are the mentally unstable Sentry and the morally questionable War God Ares. Osborn's influence is finally put to bed at the conclusion of the 2010 line-wide event Siege, in which Osborn leads a failed invasion of Asgard and is finally arrested and imprisoned for his crimes.
It tested well with focus groups, all right?
I am Iron Patriot.
If you've seen Iron Man 3, then you'll already know the name Iron Patriot. What you may not know is that in the comics, Iron Patriot originally had nothing to do with Colonel James Rhodes. Combining the design of Stark's Iron Man armor with the colors of Captain America, Norman Osborn creates the Iron Patriot armor, so he can use it to lead his Dark Avengers. The armor gives him most of Iron Man's abilities, though unlike Stark's armor, it isn't based on repulsor technology. Norman also creates the American Sun armor for his son Harry, but the younger Osborn would eventually discover that Norman did it just so he could eventually kill Harry in order to create public sympathy for himself. Norman remains Iron Patriot until his plans fall apart in Siege. He eventually escapes from the raft and forms a new team of Dark Avengers in the hopes of recapturing his old suit and getting his revenge on the heroes who defeated him. He fails, of course, and soon after resumes his life as the Green Goblin. Norman Osborn's most sickeningly powerful transformation comes at the end of 2018's Amazing Spider-Man number 798. Osborn is one of the first people to figure out Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but the events of the 2007 storyline One More Day takes that knowledge away from him. In Amazing Spider-Man number 797, when J. Jonah Jameson mentions Green Goblin's killing of Gwen Stacy, the words spark something in Osborn and cause him to remember who Spider-Man is. With this new revelation, Goblin demands Spidey quit being a hero, or he'll kill all the important people in Parker's life. Osborn also attacks the offices of the Daily Bugle and, after an intense battle with Spider-Man, winds up impaled on debris. Spidey thinks Goblin's dying, but the issue ends with the Carnage symbiote appearing and bonding with Osborn to create the Red Goblin. As the Red Goblin, Osborn is more powerful than ever and doesn't even suffer the usual symbiote vulnerabilities to fire and sound. Red Goblin continues the hunt for Parker's loved ones, and Spidey is only able to prevent the killing of Aunt May and MJ with the help of Venom, Anti-Venom, and the Superior Octopus. Borrowing Venom's symbiote and allied with his old friend Flash Thompson, Spidey is finally able to defeat the Red Goblin, although Flash is killed during the battle. The 2014 Marvel Comics event Spider-Verse introduced dozens of alternate reality versions of Spider-Man. Then, in 2018, Spider-Geddon brought in even more alternate Spideys, including a Norman Osborn version of the character. Edge of Spider-Geddon number 4 introduces the Spider-Man of Earth 44145. In that reality, Norman Osborn gained spider abilities instead of Peter Parker and even grew 4 extra arms in the process. This version of Norman Osborn is forcefully recruited into the new Spider Army by Spider-Punk, but by the end of Spider-Geddon, it seems clear that everyone would have been better off leaving him at home. Allying himself only with Spider's Man of Earth 11580, the Osborn Spidey abandons the Spider Army and chooses to destroy the web of life and destiny that allows the different Spider heroes to travel between other realities. After Spider-Geddon, this character acts as the final adversary for the reformed Otto Octavius in the 2019 volume of Superior Spider-Man. Most recently in the comics, Norman Osborn has turned to the side of the Angels, though you could make the argument it wasn't by his own choice. Shortly after being made the director of Ravencroft Institute by Mayor Wilson Fisk, Osborn finds himself in the crosshairs of a resurrected vigilante. The supernatural villain Kindred had brought the Sin Eater back to life, and this time he has powers worthy of his namesake. Rather than just killing his prey, the new Sin Eater can wipe away his target's sins, which is precisely what he does to Norman in 2020's Amazing Spider-Man number 50. While he believes Sin Eater is going to kill him, Norman instead wakes to find his evil urges have disappeared, replaced only with remorse for everything he's done. Understandably, it takes Spider-Man a while to accept that Osborn's changes are genuine, and the wall crawler beats the heck out of him in 2021's Amazing Spider-Man number 57. Spidey fortunately stops himself before he goes too far. For the time being, Osborn seems to be on the right side of things. In fact, he does what little he can to help Spider-Man during the 2021 Sinister War event, but considering who he is, it's probably only a matter of time before the Green Goblin flies again. Nearly 2 decades after 2002's Spider-Man helped usher in the dominance of superheroes on the big screen, Willem Dafoe had some pretty wonderful things to say about his experience playing the Green Goblin. Speaking to GQ in February 2019, Dafoe talked about how the Osborn-Green Goblin duality appealed to him.
You could play these scenes where it would switch from comedy to drama in a line.
As an example, Dafoe singled out the scene in which Osborn and Green Goblin have a conversation with one another in a mirror. He told GQ that director Sam Raimi even gave him Robert Louis Stevenson's novel, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, to read for the scene. During his sit-down with GQ, Dafoe repeatedly mentions how much fun he had during his experience on Spider-Man, and it must have been worth it too, considering the role's considerable physical challenges. In a behind-the-scenes feature on the Spider-Man DVD, Dafoe claimed to have endured between 40 and 50 hours of fittings of the Goblin suit before the design was finalized, Dafoe said. It was really uncomfortable to wear. It was so tight and so heavy that after a whole day in that thing, you felt like you had just gone 12 rounds. Early in June 2019, the anonymous leaker known as Roger Wardell unleashed a torrent of supposed leaks about MCU's Phase 4. While many of these leaks remain unconfirmed, it's only fair to mention that this same person leaked accurate details about Avengers Endgame months before the movie's release. Among other things, Wardell had some major claims about the Green Goblin. According to the alleged leaks, Phase 4's primary antagonist won't be a purple guy from outer space, but someone much closer to home. Yes, Wardell claims that Norman Osborn will supposedly serve as the next big bad of the MCU. Of course, it's now known that Willem Dafoe's version of Green Goblin is on his way to the MCU. Dafoe will reprise the villainous role in Spider-Man: No Way Home, but it remains to be seen whether he'll replace Thanos as Marvel's main villain. Considering Osborn and the other Spider-Man villains appearing will be travelers from other parts of the multiverse, one of the more likely outcomes of the story would seem to be their return to their respective realities. Not only that, but Jonathan Majors' Kang the Conqueror has been frequently cited as the true big bad of Phase 4. But it's likely that Kevin Feige and company won't be able to resist introducing their own version of Norman Osborn at some point or another, and who knows what might happen with him. Only time will tell. Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more Looper videos about your favorite movies and TV shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.